Go ahead, Matt.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. The Kansas Conservation Champion Award originated at the 2015 Kansas Natural Resources Conference to honor exemplary service and perseverance dedicated to advancing the field of conservation in the state of Kansas. It's been awarded annually to an individual who has displayed outstanding dedication, innovation, and leadership central to the conservation, protection, enhancement, appreciation, and stewardship of Kansas's natural heritage and resources. Nominations received from the member organizations of KNRC showed that there are many individuals in a broad array of fields who have shown great dedication to the natural resources of our state, but there can be only one champion. And the KNRC Kansas Conservation Champion for 2021 is Ken Brunson. At this time, I'd like to welcome Rob Manus to give us a small sample of Ken's accomplishments. Congratulations to Ken. Rob, I'm unable to hear you.
Well, let's unmute then. This is only my
There you go.
fourth Zoom call for the day, so thank you. When the request for nominees came out, no fewer than about a half dozen people asked if I was going to nominate Ken Brunson this year, and so frankly, I really didn't have any choice. It was by popular vote, and Brian Obermeyer really led the charge on pulling the nomination together. So I just want to first off say that I can't imagine someone more deserving of it than Ken, and I'm not alone in that opinion. A lot of other folks are too, and I really appreciate Brian taking the lead on putting the nomination together. Ken is a longtime friend, a fellow musician, a partner in firewood crime. I used to own a wood splitter with Ken for a long time, and he's been a hunting partner and a fishing partner, and we've partnered in raising families and all kinds of things. I thought about, telling a joke to an audience is a tough thing to do. It's virtually impossible on Zoom. And I thought, I asked myself, are there any appropriate ones I could tell about Ken? And frankly, there might be one. No, there's not. There aren't any. So I just get right to the facts. He's a wonderful human being. Somebody I have great respect for. I noted that in the letter of nomination that Brian and I put together, I said he's a truly long-time champion for protection and enhancement of Kansas natural resources. And that modifier truly, I didn't know if it applied to champion or long time. And given that he's been at this 48 years, I suppose it could be either. Nearly half a century, Ken Brunson has been getting paid to do this. And his interest and his commitment to it goes back a long way. So Kansas had the benefit his expertise and dedication for a half a century. He's a kid from Stockton who married well above his gene pool. His wife Leanne, whom I've seen in action many times, keeping on the right paths of life. Ken came on board with the Kansas Fish and Game Commission under a program called SASNAC, which is cleverly Kansas spelled backwards. Most of you probably don't remember that because most of you probably weren't born at that point. But Ken started under that SASNAC program. He was a fisheries biologist at Norton Reservoir. He later became a stream biologist, which kind of made him one of my heroes when I was a fisheries technician. And I heard about this guy, Ken Brunson, who was this expert in stream fisheries. Ken became well known not only as a stream ecologist, but as an ecologist in general of all things wild in the Great Plains. And a long time career with the Department of Wildlife and Parks, where we both worked together for 20 years. Ken started up and headed up the non-game program and built it into something that we can all be proud of, something that looks at those species that don't benefit from the traditional conservation programs. And Ken has continued to champion those causes throughout his career. About 10 years ago, Ken came to the Nature Conservancy to lead what was then a brand new Red Hills initiative. And we needed someone who spoke Rancher really well, was fluent in speaking Rancher to work in the Red Hills. We had credibility there. And frankly, Ken Brunson speaks to all kinds of people well, and that might be a greater skill that he possesses over and above his skills as a scientist and an ecologist. He's got just really good people skills, and that's made him invaluable not only to the Nature Conservancy, but, and I want to emphasize this, to our profession. The lack of people skills kills us when our science is perfect. And Ken brings to bear both great communication skills, empathy, the ability to relate to virtually anyone with a really good science mind. And he's brought those to bear for us down in the Gyp Hills, where he's made great strides towards mixed grass prairie conservation, lesser prairie chicken conservation, cave and bat conservation, stream fisheries, and somewhat to my fright, helping to bring prescribed fire back to the Red Hills. Whenever Ken's boss, Brian Overmeyer, says, you want to know what Ken's doing with prescribed fire in the Red Hills, I absolutely decline to know anything about it. I've learned a lot from Ken as an ecologist, most of it with a fishing pole or a shotgun in my hands. He's a great herpetologist. I've learned a ton from him about the snakes and lizards, and he deserves this recognition greatly. Some specific things that you may not know that Ken had his hand in. The first State Wildlife Action Plan was very much a Ken Brunson effort. And these have become pivotal documents in wildlife management in virtually every state. The one that tugs at my heartstrings most, though, is Ken had a ton of influence on the first state water plan. And in particular, Ken became widely recognized as an expert and an influencer in minimum desirable stream flows. And I'd sure like to see us get back to that day. Maybe we can get Leanne to let him come out of retirement for a couple of days to help us get the minimum desirable stream flows going again. Just a couple other things I would say about Ken. He's a talented guy. He's a fine musician, singer, harmonica player, guitar player, a songwriter, but he's also brought those artistic talents to bear in a blog about the prairie, about the Red Hills, filled with prose and poetry and photographs and some of the silliest stuff you ever saw in your life. Ken, in addition to his people skills and his science skills, he brings incredible passion, great artistic value, and a real life sense of humor. And so it is my privilege to team with Brian and some other folks to nominate Ken and to see him get this Conservation Champion Award. And with that, I want to turn it over to Ken. Thanks, Ken, for all the years.
Thank you, Rob. And after that flowery testimony, I don't have anything to say. I'm out of your words. I truly am honored and humbled and flattered by the nomination and the award. And I thank you and Mike Disney and others that might have been involved in this effort. Those were a lot of kind words. My first thought when Matt Maroff had told me about the award was that, what's this award for what? And why me? I see all these great colleagues that are here today. Some friends and colleagues I've known for many, many years, and I can point to any number of them and say, well, why me and not them? But I'm truly flattered by some people's good thoughts about what I've done and some of my accomplishments. So I thank the nominators for their efforts. I thank KNRC for its long-term effort in doing this award and for being around for 14 years. It was a long time coming, and we're so glad to see KNRC still still going strong, even though it's virtual this year. I do want to recognize all of the contributions of special people like not only Rob, but Brian Obermeyer, who I think there's a lot of people that are deserving of attention and awards and for their long-time contribution to conservation. Libby Albers and Jessica Mounts, thank you for your long-term association with KNRC and your own conservation efforts. I had, besides all the incredible people that I've got to work with TNC, I had a lot of good guidance and instruction early on, and I just want to spend what 5 minutes of fame I have here that just mention a few more names. People that are also very deserving of some attention and recognition, and especially for some of the younger colleagues that we have here and some of the students. I just want you to at least have heard of these names. For some that you may run across in the literature, others you may have never heard of. So I particularly want to give notice to my instructors that I had at Fort Hays State University and who helped guide me and educate me, or at least they attempted to. They helped satisfy my insatiable thirst for nature. Some of the other mentors that I've had that I wanted to mention were people that I looked up to and taught me so much, including people like Stan Roth, Lance Hedges, who was in my chain of command as a supervisor in TNC. Other folks, Dr. Frank Cross, Joe Collins. I know as I start to list people, I'm going to leave some important people out, and I guess I'll just apologize for that. But I want to mention some of these people. And back to my professors that I had at Hayes, they had so much influence, and they were the exact people that I wanted to learn under, and they did pretty well, at least as far as satisfying my thirst for knowledge. They included doctors Eugene Fleehardy, Dr. Jerry Choke, Chuck Ely, Gerald Tomatic, Gary Hewlett, all incredibly fine people, very knowledgeable, and they knew how to do it. And I really appreciated the heck out of having the opportunity to learn under them. As Rob said, I started out my formal career with the Kansas Forestry, Fish and Game Commission, and I've had so many great people that I worked with there. I had some great supervisors and fellow colleagues that I've had a chance to work with, including Rob, but also want to mention great folks like Bob Hartman, Bill Plavacek, Steve Sorensen. There's so many others, Ed Miller, people that I've had a great opportunity to work with. I want to mention Dick Wetterston. Dick Wetterston is a name that probably, maybe most of you don't know. Certainly the younger people here probably have not heard of Dick Wetterston, but Dick Wetterston was a major champion for conservation in this state. And the reason why is that back in 1973, we had the SASNET program. Dick Wetterston was able to get that through the legislature and with the help of the Kansas Wildlife Federation, and was able to spend out the $7 million surplus that the Forestry, Fish and Game Commission had at the time, and was able to create 50 new positions. That's 50, 50. And most of those were biologists. And I was one of those lucky biologists that was there at the right time. I'm forever grateful for Dick Wetterston and his efforts, along with many others at that time, to create that opportunity. In a funny kind of way, I reference that as kind of an affirmative action program for introverted and antisocial biologists, but it gave me and so many other biologists a chance to get our foot in the door in conservation. And so many of my colleagues at that time, my cohorts, have went on to do so many really incredible things and have contributed greatly to the science and conservation for fish and wildlife resources in the state of Kansas and beyond. So my hats off to Dick Weatherson and all the others. Bill Havlicek and Bob Hartman were also those that were very instrumental in getting that program off the ground. And I want to make sure I mention a very important component of the people that were important to me and to conservation. And I think it's fitting that we have some of the program devoted to grazing lands and ranchers today. I want to mention particularly some of those great people that I've had a chance to work with down here in the Red Hills and elsewhere. They don't want notoriety, but they are on the ground, boots on the ground type of conservationists that they deserve recognition. And down here, there's been I've had some great landowners to be able to work with and help teach me and help work with them in providing conservation programming in the Red Hills and elsewhere. People like Keith and Eva Yearout, Tom and Joe Carr, Ted Alexander, Ed Koger, Jane Koger in the Flint Hills, Charlie DeGear, Chan Gates, Amber Robbins. There's so many great ranchers down here in the Red Hills. I know I'm leaving a bunch out, but at that risk, I still wanted to mention at least some. So, and then finally, I want to give acknowledgement to my great family. My grown children have contributed greatly, along with my grandkids, to helping me continue my thirst for nature and my enjoyment of nature, along with their own. And then finally, my wife, Leanne, has been with me all along and helped me through a lot of good times and some rough times. And to tell you the truth, she's an incredible woman, and as she's put up with literally decades of carcasses and dead animals in the freezer. And most of you biologists can I guess identify with that. So I guess I give my greatest accolade to my wife, Leanne. Thank you very much for this award. I'm very humbled by it and flattered by it. Thank you very much.
Congratulations again, Ken. I'm sure there's a round of applause going from everyone on here, and as the chat shows, very deserving. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
At this time, I will turn it back over to JR.